Welcome to Unfoolish Investing, everyone. Episode 4. I'm Victor.
I'm Larry.
We are here with our emergency episode 4 podcast because where we left off in episode 3, things quickly changed in less than 24 hours. Let's just jump right into it, shall we?
I love it. I just want to call this episode 4 A New Hope for Starbucks.
That's right, because when we woke up, we discovered that Laxman Narasimhan was out as the Starbucks CEO after a little over a year, March of 2023, and Brian Niccol from Chipotle is in. Larry, how do we feel about that?
Unbelievable. What a whirlwind 24 hours. We were on episode 3 last night, ready to finish nailing in the coffin for Starbucks, and they pull out a god tier steal Uno reverse card and steal Brian Niccol from Chipotle. Unbelievable.
It's crazy. And just to give everybody a little background, Brian Niccol originally started at Taco Bell as, I believe, their chief marketing officer. Okay? And he was responsible for the core marketing. He started campaigns like Live Más, which I think anybody that's ever gone to Taco Bell and knows Taco Bell knows the Live Más fun lifestyle that he started with that campaign and that slogan. He went on at Taco Bell to introduce everybody in the world, and I don't think my kids have changed since, to the Doritos Locos Taco. That's right. The Dorito flavored taco we owe to Brian Niccol and his team, which combined Taco's signature taco with Dorito flavored shells. How do you make a taco taste better? Ask my kid. It's Dorito flavored shells. He also started the breakfast menu at Taco Bell, and along with that, he really prioritized the development of Taco Bell's digital platform through their mobile apps. He enhanced the customer experience by shifting Taco Bell into online ordering, delivery, and the ability for consumers on the apps to customize options when ordering. The focus on technology at Taco Bell, I think, was one of the core reasons, outside of the amazing slogans he came up with, Larry,
Yeah.
as to why he ended up at Chipotle. Were you familiar with his Taco Bell background?
I was not until today when all this news broke. I had no idea he was at Taco Bell. It makes sense given what he's done at Chipotle. So I had no idea.
And at Chipotle, just a little background into how he ended up at Chipotle. He ended up at Chipotle in 2018. In episode 1 of Unfoolish Investing, we talk a little bit about Chipotle, the E. coli and salmonella issues that it had through late 2015, 2016, into 2017. I believe we might have touched a little bit on activist investor Ackman taking a role in Chipotle to try and get it to turn around. And, I believe he was one among others for the reason that Niccol ended up at Chipotle.
Okay. I knew Ackman had an activist stake at the time, but I didn't know that that's how Niccol could have gotten in there. It's good info.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it, he came in 2018, right at the pretty much the end of the height of all those food safety issues that Chipotle was having problems with.
Yep.
He immediately implemented safety protocols, quality standards, and he's, just like Liv Moss at Taco Bell. I mean, I personally think he was one of the core reasons he was able to focus on rebuilding the trust in the consumer at Chipotle, through full transparency to the customer around what was going on.
Yep.
What are your thoughts on Brian Niccol's tenure at Chipotle?
Well, you can't really argue with the financial results. The stock is up almost 800%, I think, during his tenure. Um, to your point, he did take over at kind of the rock bottom of Chipotle's stock performance. But between him and the executive team underneath him, it's really been a masterclass in running a restaurant operation. You talked about technology for Taco Bell. He's instituted a ton of technological upgrades at Chipotle. I mean, the online ordering. I feel like that business is run automatically almost at this point. That he's kind of future-proof Chipotle for them, so that whoever the next CEO is, I'm guessing it's going to be somebody internal, can just kind of take the reins and keep going.
Does that play on our Warren Buffett mentality of the ham sandwich?
Yes. Yep.
And if
a good business to own is one that can be run by a ham sandwich.
100%. And I agree. I think, to your point, I think Chipotle, just put the ham sandwich out there. It's going to be good. It's going to be fine. How do you feel about some of the items that he's done at Chipotle, like the lifestyle bowls, that were really focused on the health conscious consumer, and his ability to potentially, improve Starbucks food? Because I feel like everybody can agree that Starbucks has always had solid coffee options.
Yes.
But would you agree that Starbucks food has always had a lot to be desired?
Yeah, I don't think I've even really tried anything besides like a cookie or a brownie. I'm an iced mocha guy, so that's what I stick with when I get Starbucks. Yeah, you see the stuff in the case, and to your point, most of it doesn't even really look appetizing. So you're not really going to get any impulse buys if the food doesn't even really look that good.
Now, at Chipotle, Niccol spent a lot of time, trying to streamline operations, especially by putting in the advanced kitchen technologies, which was pretty much a process set to improve service speed and consistency.
Yep.
I feel like we're seeing a lot of similarities in what he could do at Starbucks along those same lines.
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing he won't have to deal with at Starbucks, at least if, their offerings remain the same. I don't know if you've seen the stuff recently about the portion sizes varying from restaurant to restaurant at Chipotle. And they kind of acknowledged it in their last earnings call that that was a real concern. I think that's one thing he won't have to deal with at Starbucks, because generally the food is already pre-made, and a grande is a grande. So
yeah, I agree. I feel like the drinks won't be a big focus, but I'm hoping for better quality food, and I also hope for more tweaks to the app. And you spoke a lot about Dutch Brothers yesterday during our podcast about the stickiness. I see a lot of those that same stickiness with the Starbucks app,
Hmm.
but I just don't feel like the rewards are there. So
Yeah.
I'm hoping, we see a lot of shifts in that world.
Yeah, I think Starbucks, I think opportunities they have are to move into lunch and later, especially if they're going to focus on food a little bit. They could do sandwiches, they could do other snacks that you would get more in the afternoon as opposed to, I feel like most of the stuff is either pastry or targeted towards breakfast. So I think that's something that Niccol and the team might explore at Starbucks is to try to make it an all-day destination as opposed to more of a breakfast-oriented place.
Do you think, we spoke about his innovation and development of Taco Bell and Chipotle. Um, you know, I hate to get back to the food, but I feel like later in the day, to your point, if I'm going into a Starbucks, I feel like I need a sandwich
Right.
or
Yeah.
something that is going to potentially be that dinner item
Mm-hmm. Yep.
instead of going next door to Jersey Mike's.
Right. It's true. It's true. Near me too. It's a Starbucks and a Jersey Mike's right next to each other in the same on the same pad site. So
That's crazy, and
yeah.
that's pretty much there are two doors down in my area, but Jersey Mike's and Starbucks like right next to each other as well.
I think that is a Jersey Mike strategy is they've opened up locations close to Starbucks because they know that a lot of the people that go to Starbucks for coffee are, you know, they want a sandwich, so they're going to go to Jersey Mike's. So maybe that's a strategy, Niccol and crew. I hope you're listening. I'm sure you're not. But
You never know. You never know. I do think though when I look at the differences, and this is where I'm kind of curious to see how he changes. Like Taco Bell, he had a lot to work with, but it was a low
yeah,
cost barrier, and Taco Bell's known for taking chances, especially with marketing
hmm,
around ideas. Chipotle, Chipotle was in heavy growth mode until the food issues. Once he cleaned those up, I felt like the runway was wide open.
yep,
With Starbucks, I feel the big difference is it's an established, and I mean well established brand.
hmm,
And
yeah,
I feel like you don't have the growth potential like you did at Chipotle once cleaning up the food safety issues.
hmm,
So, like, how does Niccol look at the Starbucks brand and say, I'm going to expand you globally, and we're going to be able to take this high cost of coffee than some of the other competitors
yep,
and bring it to emerging markets. And I know that they've been trying to get into China, but China's really big with Luckin Coffee.
hmm.
How does do you see him having as easy a go, or do we see this as a 3 to 5 year turnaround story?
Yeah. I kind of think that Starbucks is in a similar life cycle of the business as Chipotle to an extent. I think they're a mature company. They're not in that growth mode anymore like Chipotle has been for years. Um, so, I think, is it going to grow as fast as Chipotle? Definitely not. Um, but I don't think, um, I don't really think that Niccol is going to come in and say, oh, we need to add another 3,500 stores or something. I think they need to focus on expanding their like footprint in the day. I know we just talked about this, but I think that's their way to expand is not necessarily by opening more stores, but by expanding the you know variety of items that they sell. Um, like I totally agree with you on sandwiches. If folks were going in for a coffee around like a second coffee around lunch, um, and you see this beautiful deli meat sandwich or like a chicken salad or a tuna or something. Something that doesn't take very long to make, just as long as it takes to make a coffee, because nobody wants to sit there for 10 minutes waiting for a sandwich when they've already got their coffee in their hand.
I
I think
agree, and it
that's the way
needs
to
to,
go.
and I think it needs to be fresh. It can't be
Yeah.
processed. It can't be one
Yeah.
of these. I'm pulling it out and I'm just unwrapping
Got
it.
to make it in front of them like Chipotle. Yep.
Yeah,
I think that's something you try to take from Chipotle and bring to Starbucks is the freshness in front of you. Totally agree. Yep.
Now, with that, Chipotle. Where does Chipotle go from here? They've only known two CEOs, the founder, Steve,
Yep.
and Brian. And both have executed on different levels, right? If you're Chipotle, do you have any concerns for the business moving forward? Or like we mentioned from Buffett's famous, scenario, is Chipotle a ham sandwich?
I don't know what you like on your ham sandwich. I'm a mustard guy, ham cheese mustard. I feel like the sandwich is made. It might just not have the mustard on it yet. It's 95% of the way there. I I think that the person that succeeds Niccol in the CEO job, I think they're inheriting a very strong, almost turnkey operation. And to your point, like we've talked about Berkshire, Warren Buffett, they just have such a strong executive team at Chipotle. So I think they've set themselves up for a situation like this, where the chief executive leaves and they have to kind of backfill.
And with that, yesterday we were nailing the coffin. Slowly closed.
Starbucks was dead yesterday. Dutch brothers eating their lunch.
Over the past year. Down. 23, almost 24%.
Yep.
Nowhere. Losing complete faith. 24 hours turned around. And this kind of comes to the unfoolish point. If you have a strong company, and you believe in it, and you believe that they might turn around, and you continue to drip into it, even in the low points, they could pull a rabbit out of the hat, and in 24 hours, have a 24, almost 25% turnaround.
Yep.
24 hours, everybody that's been putting money into Starbucks this past year just had all their losses erased in a 25% bump in a span of 24 hours. Not because of their earnings, not because they've done anything else, but because they hired what a lot of people call the guy that has all the magic around this type of business. From Taco Bell to Chipotle. And now the question is, does he have the trifecta with Starbucks? In 3 to 5 years, are we looking at a $200, $300, $400 stock? Or is it even crazier like Chipotle? Is he going to take it from 300 to 3,000? Thoughts?
It's tough to say because, the market cap for Starbucks is already $100 billion. So if you were going to go from that 300 to 3,000, it would be $1 trillion company. And I don't think Starbucks is going to be $1 trillion company. I could see it doubling. I could see the stock doubling from here. There's clearly enthusiasm around Niccol coming in. So I could see two sides. I could see it doubling. I could see it staying flat for a year after today's bump. It would make perfect sense to me if, you know, they kind of priced in this next year to perfection with today's 25% increase, and it stays flat for a year before you start seeing some of the reaction to stuff he might implement and whether or not it takes off.
Yeah, and I mean, and that's the big thing. And I personally am taking the Starbucks 25% bump. I'm not doing anything right now. Where it was removed from my watch list, I have re-added it back in. But I am adding with the mindset of I'm treating it almost like you know, an IPO, where I'm not probably going to do anything around buying into it because I sold it for 6 months. If I was still dripping into it, I would continue to drip into it.
Yeah.
But over the next 6 months, I'm going to be watching that stock. I'm going to watch a couple quarters of earnings, and I'm going to look to see what he starts to implement and starts to change. And maybe it's before the 6 month mark. I'm like, okay, I like the direction he's headed, and
Yeah.
I pull the trigger, or maybe I don't. But I feel like now I'm in watch mode versus Chipotle, which I still own, and I'm not sure if you saw their stock today, but Brian, the company Brian went to, went up 25%. The company he left dropped 7.5%. And at one point today, it was down 11%. And I think at that particular time, you and I both executed on buys and have already made 3-4% back on those lows.
Yeah. Yeah, obviously he's done so well for the company for so long that there was going to be a market reaction. But like we said, I think this is a turnkey business for, the next executive. So when I saw it go down, it's a high conviction stock for me. I saw it go down. You and I had talked about it. I got more stock at 49 and change. So to your point, I've already gained 4% on that, and that's going to sit in the Chipotle stock for years. No, that was about as impulsive a stock buy as you could get because Chipotle is, to me anyway, super stable, not going anywhere
Correct.
for a long time.
Yeah, and I think it goes to, the unfoolish investing point of view is
Yep.
why again were they selling? I get the CEO left, Larry. I totally understand that. But
Yeah.
did any of the fundamentals of the business change? Right?
Nope.
Is the customer count down? Do you even think anybody, the majority of the people that are going into Chipotle, know that the CEO left?
Yeah, I would argue the majority of customers probably don't even know who the CEO is.
And are they going to stop going? Like, that to me, I don't understand.
I don't think so. No.
So it's like when you see panic sells like this, and it was a panic sell, right?
Yeah.
None of the fundamentals change. None of the reasons we bought into the business change, right?
Exactly.
Everything continued. Wasn't a food scare. Wasn't like E. coli salmonella outbreak of 2015, 2016, 2017. None of that. It was one individual leaving, going from one brand to another, where the rest of the people, the core team, were still in place. And I'm a firm believer that a company is more than just one person. And although that one person is important, if they've done their job, everybody else is going to continue on. And who knows?
Yep.
Maybe we'll get, maybe we'll get some, some fun menu options that were being stopped before coming out. Maybe we'll get some more fresh ideas. Who knows? But the fundamentals haven't changed.
Totally agree.
With that, do you have anything else around Chipotle, Starbucks, the crazy 24 hours these two iconic brands have seen going into tomorrow?
I'm interested to see if this continues tomorrow. Is Starbucks going to keep going up? I don't think so. Not like today, obviously, but um, I think there's potential for Starbucks to become a meme stock a little bit for a while, because there's just so much excitement and things have been so bad at Starbucks for the last year plus, that I think you could see the value of Starbucks get a little ahead of itself.
I'd agree with that. I'd agree with that. It'll be fun to watch. It's a great story, especially for the market and for
Yeah.
unfoolish investors everywhere. I mean, it's a fun story to watch, and we'll continue to run updates through the year, quarter to quarter, as we see these two iconic brands continue to grow.
Yep. And conversely, I think Chipotle could stay depressed in value for a little while, so it could be a good time to load up on some more Chipotle if you have the ability to.
Yeah, yeah, without a doubt. And I would say that that's one thing that I'm going to continue to watch and do if needed while I continue to watch Starbucks. I
Same.
I want to thank everybody for jumping in for this emergency episode 4 podcast. The the CEO swap. And until next time, hit like, subscribe, and stay unfoolish, people.
We've got shorts too. Don't forget, check out our shorts
That's right.
on YouTube.
Thanks for blogging that. Yep, we just started. We just dropped our first short today. So if you haven't watched it, jump in. It's on how to turn $50 into 22,000. Who doesn't want to know about that?